The subdomain 2 to 8 on cryptography is an important aspect of cybersecurity defense as it aims to ensure the proper and efficient use of cryptography to protect the organization's information assets. To meet this subdomain, there are a few key controls that organizations should implement. Control 2.8.1. Cybersecurity requirements for cryptography must be defined, documented and approved. This means that the organization should establish a set of guidelines and procedures on how to use cryptography to protect their information assets. This should include what types of cryptographic solutions are approved for use and what kind of data should be encrypted. Creating a cryptography policy is an important step in meeting the requirements of the NCAECC standard and protecting your organization's information assets. The policy should include the following key elements. The purpose of the policy should be clearly stated, and should include the objectives of the policy, such as protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information assets. The scope of the policy should be defined, and should specify which information assets are covered by the policy, as well as which individuals, systems, and networks are subject to the policy. The policy should specify the cryptographic standards that will be used by the organization, and should also outline the technical and regulatory limitations of those standards. Key management. The policy should outline the procedures for securely managing cryptographic keys throughout their lifecycle, including procedures for key generation, distribution, storage, and destruction. Data encryption. The policy should specify the types of data that must be encrypted, both in transit and at rest, and should also specify the encryption algorithms and key lengths that will be used. Compliance. The policy should outline the procedures for monitoring and enforcing compliance with the policy, and should also specify the consequences for non-compliance. Review. The policy should be reviewed periodically to ensure that it remains effective and relevant in light of changing technology, threats, and regulatory requirements. There are many tools and technologies available to help organizations implement and comply with a cryptography policy. Examples include encryption software, key management systems, KMS, and hardware security modules, HSM. These tools can assist with key generation and management, data encryption, and compliance monitoring and reporting. In summary, this control is an essential aspect of cybersecurity defense, and organizations should establish a set of guidelines and procedures to ensure the proper and efficient use of cryptography to protect their information assets. This includes creating a cryptography policy, implementing and complying with the policy, and reviewing and updating the policy periodically to ensure that it remains effective and relevant in light of changing technology, threats, and regulatory requirements. Now let's jump to Control 2.8.2. Control 2.8.2. The cybersecurity requirements for cryptography must be implemented. This means that the organization should put their guidelines and procedures into action. This can include training employees on how to use the approved cryptographic solutions, implementing encryption on the organization's systems and networks, and regularly monitoring the use of cryptography to ensure compliance. To implement the cybersecurity requirements for cryptography, the organization must first conduct a risk assessment to determine their specific needs. This would include identifying the types of data that need to be protected and any regulatory or compliance requirements that need to be met. Once the needs have been identified, the organization can then choose appropriate cryptographic solutions and standards. This could include symmetric and asymmetric encryption, secure key exchange and digital signature algorithms, and secure key management solutions. The organization should then establish clear policies and procedures for how the cryptographic solutions will be used. This should include guidelines for key management, such as how keys will be generated, distributed, stored and destroyed, as well as procedures for encrypting data in transit and at rest. The organization should also ensure that the solutions are implemented in a secure manner and that the solutions are tested for vulnerabilities. In terms of technology, there are many commercial and open-source cryptographic solutions available to implement these requirements. Examples of cryptographic solutions include AES for symmetric encryption, RSA for asymmetric encryption, and PGP for secure email communication. For key management, solutions such as hardware security modules, HSM, and key management servers can be used. Additionally, many modern operating systems, databases and cloud providers offer built-in encryption solutions to encrypt data at rest. It is important to note that cryptographic solutions are only one component of a comprehensive cybersecurity defense, and should be used in conjunction with other controls and mitigation strategies. The organization should also regularly review and update their cryptography policy to ensure that it remains effective and relevant in light of changing technology, threats, and regulatory requirements.